Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a question that's, well, at the heart of pretty much everything. Why do we suffer? And more importantly, is there a way out? We're going to explore a path to liberation and really try to get to the bottom of this.
All right, let's start with a question that just cuts through all the noise. I mean, even the Dalai Lama, when faced with some really deep, abstract philosophy, basically asked, so what? You know, it's interesting, but how does it change our life? How does any of this stuff actually help us day to day? That's the real question, isn't it?
And that question, it sets the stage perfectly for what we're talking about today. Because these huge spiritual journeys, they don't start with some high-minded abstract theory. Nope. They start right here, on the ground, with a problem that every single one of us knows, intimately. And that problem, of course, is suffering. I mean, think about it. Understanding suffering was the entire focus for people like the Buddha. He was obsessed with one single question. Why do we suffer, and how in the world do we get out of it? Well, what's amazing is that the ancient Indian tradition of Vedanta, it offers a diagnosis that is just surprisingly clear. It doesn't just throw up its hands and say, well, life is hard. No, it gets specific. It actually identifies 5 root causes for all our pain and anxiety. These root causes are called the kleshas. And that Sanskrit word, it's perfect. It literally means poisons or afflictions. You can think of them as these toxic things that cloud up our minds, distort how we see everything, and lead us straight into suffering. So here's how Vedanta breaks it down. First, it all starts with just not knowing the true nature of reality, just plain ignorance. And because we're ignorant, we do 2 things. We desperately cling to things that are temporary, and we run like crazy from other things that are also temporary. On top of that, we get our identity all mixed up. We think this small, limited ego is who we really are. And where does all this lead? To the big one, the ultimate fear, the fear of death. Okay, so you see those 5 reasons, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. Vedanta's big insight is this. Those 5 things, they aren't actually 5 separate problems. Not at all. They're all just symptoms of one single underlying issue. And that's the absolute key takeaway. Every single bit of suffering we experience, from a tiny little annoyance to the deepest, darkest grief, it all comes from one place, not knowing the true nature of reality. That's it. All the other stuff, the clinging, the fear, getting wrapped up in our ego, it's all just a side effect of not seeing things clearly. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you're watching an incredible movie. You're so sucked into the story, the characters, the drama, that you completely, totally forget you're just a person sitting in a theater. Well, that's us. We are the seer, the one who is watching, but we get completely lost in the scenery of our own lives. Okay, so if the problem is that we're lost in the scenery, then how do we wake up? How do we remember that we're the one watching the movie? The solution is knowledge. And I don't just mean book smarts. I mean a deep, gut-level, experiential knowing. And to get there, Vedanta lays out 4 different paths you can take. They're called the 4 yogas, and each one is a different road back home to your true self. So you've got karma yoga, the path of selfless action. You've got bhakti yoga, the path of just pure love and devotion. There's raja yoga, the path of disciplined meditation. And jnana yoga, the path of keen intellect and inquiry. They're all different ways to get out of the scenery and remember who's watching. So, whichever path you might choose, where does it lead? What's the destination at the end of this quest? The destination is called enlightenment, and one of its absolute hallmarks is a state of fearlessness, like total fearlessness. Because when you truly know who you are, that ultimate fear, the fear of death, it just dissolves. You realize there's a part of you that was never born and can never die. This quote from the poet Rabindranath Tagore, wow, it just captures this state of mind perfectly. He's not looking at the end with fear, but with the same love he has for life. And because I love this life, I know I shall love death as well. Talk about a radical shift in perspective. This new way of seeing things, it also completely flips our usual ideas about reality. Most of us fall into one of 2 camps. There's the materialist view, the universe is out there and it creates my awareness. Then there's the idealist view, my awareness is what's creating the universe. So which one is it? Well, the enlightened perspective says they're both kind of wrong. or at least incomplete? The answer is it's both. It's a constant dance. The observer and the observed, that's you and the universe, you aren't separate things. You are literally co-creating each other, moment by moment by moment. And this feeling, this deep knowing that you're one with everything, it doesn't make you want to just sit on a cushion and retreat from the world. Quite the opposite. It leads to this incredible, powerful, active expression of compassion, which is often symbolized by this number, 1,000. Yeah, it's called the 1,000 arms of compassion. It's this feeling like your heart is just exploding outward. You have this unstoppable urge to reach out and help every single being, to ease their suffering because you know in your bones that they aren't separate from you. Their pain is your pain. And that brings us right back to where we started. Back to the Dalai Lama's really practical question: how does it change our life? So here's the thought I want to leave you with. If you truly, deeply felt that connection, that you are one with everyone else, how would you act differently? Not tomorrow, not next week, but today, right now?